in council chambers at the city center, and members Collins, Tedder, Bike, Coleus are on Zoom, as well as some other members of the public. First item up for business is approval of the minutes from the May meeting. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes we were provided? All right, is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I so move.
All right, is there a second? Anybody second that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes are adopted. The first matter for hearing today is DRB case number 2020-17. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness for replacement of the entrance door on the front building facade located at 190 West Evans Street, tax map number 90168-02-027. The property is located in the H1 Historic Overlay District. We'll take staff's report.
Good afternoon. I will go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right. This is the parcel that is located at the corner of West Evans and South Irby Street. This is a closer up shot of it. It is in the H1 Overlay District, the Historic Overlay District, and it is zoned Central Business District. These are pictures of the original door on the left, and apparently it was damaged, and the building owner went ahead and replaced it with the door that is on the right. As you can see, the original door was a wood panel door, double door, and the new door is a commercial metal door. According to the design guidelines for the Historic Overlay District, the preference is for a commercial style door rather than residential style door. But it says if aluminum storefront doors are used, only the wide style type of door is appropriate. Narrow or medium style aluminum doors should not be used. But this does not specify what qualifies as a wide versus a narrow style. And the stiles, which is the vertical supports of the new door, are 2 3/4 inches wide. The top rail is 2 3/4, and the bottom rail is 7 inches wide. These are some nearby commercial doors that have been put in the last couple of years. The one on the far left, the Consider the Lilies, that one has been there for a while. The one in the middle is a newer door, and the one for Mosaic is also within the last year or two. And here are some more commercial doors. The one on the left is for the new K. Nicole Spa. The Square Meal Market is the one in the middle, and then the one at the Carolina Bank is the one on the right. And then the one in the upper right is for Temple and Hood across the street. So according to the design standards, restoration rather than renovation is preferred. The qualities for overall design should be retained, and preservation and consolidation should be considered when replacing historic elements, and all additions and renovations should complement the original, and new construction should be appropriate to the period and style and character. And those are the guidelines that refer mostly to this request. So that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
I may have missed this. When was the door replaced with the aluminum, with this door that's there now? How long has it been there, I guess? I've been in there, I just don't remember.
They did not get a permit, so I'm not entirely sure when, but I believe it was like in January or February
Of this year.
of this year. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. If there are no other questions for staff, we'll open the matter for public hearing. If any member of the public would like to speak to this project, please raise your hand or otherwise signal and we'll.
I would like to, hey, my name is Andy Blakely. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I was having trouble with my camera. I can't, and this is my first time on Zoom, so I might be doing something wrong.
I can hear you fine.
We can hear you.
Oh, great, good. Well, I am the owner of the property down there. I had an issue back when there was some type of windstorm we had downtown Florence. Those doors were actually fiberglass doors. And one of the customers that came in opened the door. It was an outswinging door. The wind took the door, ripped it back, tore the arm off of the top, and split the door in half in the middle. It wasn't fully broken, but we had a hard time getting it to close. Now, prior to this door, there was a glass door, just like the new one we just put on there. And not really trying to go around you guys and you know, because actually I value your opinion, but it became somewhat of a security issue because we couldn't lock the door. The tenant there helped me to call around a few places to see if we could find something to replace it. And Sandglow Glass was the first company that said they can get in there and have something done in 4 weeks. I just didn't have time to set up a meeting and go through this process and then try to find somebody for that. So that's really why we put what we put, because Sandglow recommended this. That's what we went with.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public wish to speak to this project? Right, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and open it for board discussion. Any board members have any questions or comments?
So let me make this clear. The background information of the staff report says that the original wooden door was damaged, but that's the door he said was fiberglass?
That door that you seen on the left, that was fiberglass.
Okay. And before that, at some point in time, I assume the original doors were actually wooden. They were replaced by that fiberglass replica of the wooden doors or something?
There was a glass door there prior to the fiberglass, which wasn't working properly.
So there was a glass door more similar to what's there now before those
Right.
double hung doors were put in there? Huh.
I bought the building in 1997. The glass doors were there. We replaced it with fiberglass doors when we redid the facade in 2013.
I see. Okay.
I believe the building was built in 1980, is that correct?
The building was built in probably 1905.
1905, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of that.
1910.
Not double, but it had 2 doors, were the double doors,
Double doors, right. Double glass doors.
and similar, perhaps, to what's across the street at the bank.
Right. But it was full length glass. Now, is that what they have there?
No, the bank has wooden panels in the bottom and a glass top.
It wasn't like it was full glass, no wood at all. It was metal frame, full
Hey,
glass.
Kendall.
I'm talking about original. If I would like to see it return to the original look, if we do away with what we have there now.
So Julia, you would advocate for doors similar to the ones that are at the Carolina Bank across the
would.
street?
Yes, yes. It would be more like the building was originally designed in 1905 or whenever. Unfortunately, I don't have my packet with me. I'm at the beach. I thought I brought it down, but I left it at home. And
But basically, what's up there now looks like it would originally have when I purchased it in 1997, because I don't know what was there in 1905, but the, the, the double doors were just like the one I have. Instead of putting two glass doors, I put one single glass door, and which is just basically what Sanglo recommended I put instead of the two. But that to me was more like it was prior to 2013. Instead of having a wooden door.
Right. It seems to me the question really is this, I mean, if the guidelines allow for the aluminum door, is this medium or wide style? And looking at the bottom, it certainly looks wider than, say, the Milady's store, which was recently approved down the street.
Right, that I own that building too.
But not as wide as maybe the, I don't know, I can't find the other picture. Not as wide as the mosaic. Mr. Collins, what say you about the width of the style? And
Well, most of the storefront door and window companies, they do offer the different styles as far as the narrow, medium, and wide. It's not a subjective thing. It's something you could just go and specify, and then and that's what you get. This looks to me, just kind of on a cursory glance, it looks to me to be a medium style, which I think it's. And there are a lot of doors. I'm looking at my door right now. Ours is wide, but there's a lot of doors downtown that are that are medium, and there's a few that are even the narrow. So it would not be. You would not be setting a precedent if you allowed certainly the medium style. And I agree with Miss Bike. Ideally, you would like for this building to have a historic set of doors in there, but to me that might be a little draconian to ask them to take out something that was done. I think it looks as good now as it did before it was replaced most recently, personally.
Yeah, I think the key word is feasible. Certainly, we'd all love to see the architectural restoration, but the guidelines say it is preferred when feasible. And certainly the fact that he was kind of in an emergency situation or a bind and had to get something in there, I think it could have been a lot worse. I think what he ended up with, I think looked pretty good.
For instance, the little where my office used to be down on 166 West Evans, it's now the salon. They continue to use the existing doors, and that is just a 6-panel wood residential door, which in my mind doesn't have a place downtown, but it was done that way when Wick Jackson did it maybe 20 years ago, and it's continued to be used, and it was just repainted. So to me, we've been a little bit lenient on these doors, and I don't think this is, again, I agree with Ms. Bike. It's not ideal. It's not what I would choose if I was the king, but to me, it's acceptable.
okay, any further discussion?
Well, I would just like to remind everybody that it is a historical section of Florence. And if this is a good opportunity, I would like to see us take it. To have something more appropriate for the look of what it looked like originally.
Okay,
And also a reminder that people do have to come before the design review board before they do restorations downtown, especially in the historical district.
I agree with Ms. Bike. It's been disappointing to me that we tend to do a lot of approvals post-construction, post-installation, and it's awkward and it's backwards.
And I myself, I totally understand that. And like I said before, you know, I value the input of the design review board. I've been through this process before, but we met face to face back in 2013. And, you know, I would never undermine you guys just to put something up because, you know, like I said, I've had these properties for 23 years and it has been a struggle for me to keep it the way it is right now. So I really feel like that I've done the best I could do.
all right. Any further discussion? If not, is there a motion from a member of the board? All right, well, I think the ordinance requires us to take some action, so somebody's got to make a motion, one way or the other.
I make a motion that due to the fact that the current installation is not in contrast or contradictory to the current guidelines, that it be approved as installed.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Tedder, any further board discussion at this time? I guess I would just like to say to Ms. Bike's point that, Mr. Blakely, if you know you own multiple properties downtown, please know that this board is strongly encouraging returning to the historical look of all of these buildings anytime work is done. So we encourage you to incorporate that in your planning,
I totally agree.
even in emergency situations.
Yeah, I mean, you were, as you said, you were before us in 2013, so you knew we were here when this happened. So I would certainly join the chorus that if in the unfortunate event you have to replace what's there now, it would certainly be a great time for your insurance company to put the more original doors back in place.
All right, there's a motion before us. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. We'll issue the certificate. Mr. Blakely, thank you.
Thank you.
Next matter before us today is DRB case number 2020-18. And this is a request for a certificate of appropriateness for exterior renovations to the building located at 190 North Dargan Street, tax map number 90170-01-020. This property is also located in the H1 Historic Overlay District. We'll take staff's report.
Yes, I will share my screen. All right. There we go. Yes, the applicant is seeking the certificate of appropriateness, most pertinently to remove the dilapidated awning at the front of the building and then to make improvements and to the building itself. This is the parcel located on the corner of Baruti Street and North Dargan Street. This is the building Mrs. Bike was referring to that was built in 1980. It is zoned or it is in the H1, and it is also zoned Central Business District. It consists of a building and a parking lot right next to it. These are the photos of the awning that the applicant wants to remove. As you can see, it's in pretty bad shape. He has people doing work on the inside and has said that there have been a few pieces that have fallen on his people as they're going in and out. So it's turning into a safety hazard, and he wants to remove it. As you can see in the lower pictures, the brick underneath the awning is different from the rest of the face brick, and part of his proposal is to paint all of it the same color, and that color swatches later on in the report. He's also repairing the windows and the doors. These are photos of the existing windows and doors. He wishes to replace them with shatterproof glass, but my understanding is that he would keep the existing window frames and just fill them in with a shatterproof glass and then clean them up and paint them. These are the sides of the building and the rear of the building. There is a little, like a lean-to structure at the back, and he will remove that. And he wants to pressure wash the sides and repaint them the off-white color that they are right now. And those are cinder block, they're not brick. And this is a rendering of what he wants to do on the front. He would paint the brick again, that color on the right side, kind of a maroon brick color. He wants to replace the awning with an awning just over the door on the left side of the building. He said it would be a 12 by 6 foot black fabric awning with white trim, with the sign TK's Clothing in white letters imprinted on the awning itself. So he doesn't want any signage on the wall, just on the awning. Lighting, he's looking at uplighting from underneath the awning, but if that was too expensive, he would not bother with lighting at all. And because he said there is a street lamp right next door, right on the corner there. And the, I guess he would be upgrading the frames of the windows and doors and then installing shatterproof glass for safety reasons. So according to the design standards, he would not exactly be restoring the historic aspect of the building. Being as it was built in 1980, it doesn't have the traditional historic characteristics and architecture. So we're more looking at the appropriateness of the renovations that he is requesting. So that would conclude staff's report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff?
Is it true there's going to be 2 tenants in this or 1?
As of right now, he's just going to have one tenant and use the second side on the right there for storage, but eventually he is talking about possibly subleasing it to somebody else. But right now it'll be a retail store going in that space.
Is that color paint in the palette that's permitted?
The design guidelines say that the paint colors should match the brick colors. So that would meet that requirement.
Fabric awnings are a problem though, right?
No, fabric awnings are what we do want. The metal ones are what we don't want.
Okay.
And he especially wants permission to remove the existing awning. And if we want, you know, a little more details about these things, that would be acceptable as well.
Okay. All right, let's open the matter for public hearing. If there's any member of the public who would like to speak to this project, please let yourself be known. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing on this matter, and we'll open it for board discussion. I'm personally nervous about approving the new awning based on a pencil drawing and not really seeing what it'll really look like, but I've got no concerns about taking down the old awning. If it's falling off, it doesn't look good anyway. And I don't really have a problem with the painting if it's basically just painting it the white that it already is and then painting the brick that kind of maroon color. What do y'all think?
I thought maybe Scott did that drawing, but I guess not.
Let the record show that I did not.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
I went by and looked at the building, and the awning, the overhang is in really bad shape, but the frame, the triangulated frame is actually in decent shape.
Mhm.
I was kind of hoping that they would use that frame as the basis for their awning instead of going back with a new frame and a new awning that just covers the north end door. It seems like to me it would be easier just to possibly even use a fabric awning and use that existing frame. But that's my only comment, is I was kind of hoping it would, because the building does not have a lot of character, and I think this awning is it.
I agree with Mr. Collins. It's the awning, the way it is that bothers me, and the fabric. But I think that's approved. Is that correct? Fabric is approved for an awning.
Yeah, it's the preferred, I think, material.
Okay.
Julia.
And then if the other door becomes commercial, what'll happen then? Will they have to come back for a
I would
different?
be scared that they would have a door that it's not covered, and then it's a missed opportunity.
We could, I think he is willing to nail down those details and come back next month with it.
What if we just approve removing not the frame, but just the rest of the awning, and
Yeah, to
Coming
eliminate the
back.
hazard. Yeah.
coming back with details on, I mean, I think we want to see what kind of windows is he putting in, and I don't trust window frames without hearing that they're not vinyl hollow window frames, and that sort of thing. So if he's comfortable with that, why don't we just let him take down the part that's broken? I mean, Scott, you looked at it closely. Is that possible to?
Yeah, I think the frame itself appears to be. I mean, it's not pristine shape, but it appears to be stable. And what's failing is the secondary structure of the awning.
The shakes were falling off, and I guess there was probably a sheathing underneath those shakes,
It's got kind of a sheathing,
or stringers.
Yep, like furring
Yeah.
strips almost.
Yeah, I see the stringers. Yeah.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right, was there a motion?
I was just waiting. Hey, hello.
Yes.
We
Hey,
can't
this
see you
Tyrell.
speaking.
Tyrell Waiters here. I was just trying to find a good place to slide in. Is it my turn to speak?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, that awning, the frame of it looks decent. The whole awning as one looked decent. The only thing is about it is it's rusted out going into the brick. That metal where the bolts are is rusted out going to the brick. Like you'll have to see it if you was on the roof. When I got the roof done, you have to see it from the top. It's rusted out. So I know y'all probably want to keep that frame, but it's really rusted, really bad.
Well, I think the rationale to keep the frame was that it goes all the way across the front, and even if you change the awning, you would use a simple triangular frame like that to go back if your anchors are rusted out where it's attached to the brick. That would certainly need to be addressed. That would be more of a safety issue than the thing coming apart, because that would bring the whole thing down at one time. So. But I think that's the major concern that we have as a board, if I can speak for everybody, is that with just an awning over the north door, then there's going to be there's going to be another possibly expensive process to cover the other door if another tenant moves in on the south side. So that's kind of, I think, where we're coming from.
Are you saying right next door?
No, the second, the south door on the front there. If you have another tenant in there, then there's going to be he's going to have to be some kind of signage there that they may want to put up, and that may conflict with the awning you have just over the north door.
Oh, yeah. Whoever put up the sign there probably gonna put a one of those signs like, I guess, like Krispy Kremes or one of those fast food restaurants. Signs that the light cut on. That'd be totally up to them. I just wanted to get that awning down because of the hazardous when the guys was working inside the building, going in and out, and that one actually fell. That's it. But if y'all wanna, do everybody agree to have an awning that cover the whole building, like the whole front end?
Yeah, I mean that's the desire. Another thing is I don't think this drawing is to scale, because you have the space above the door is greater than the space below the door, and I don't think that's that may be an accurate representation. I'm not sure.
I think what the board is probably willing to do today is to probably let you remove the awning, but then come back before the board with your specific proposal of the windows and the new awning and that sort of thing. And the board would have a preference that the new awning go across the whole building. But it's hard, we can't just decide on abstract ideas, that we have to see it, so.
Yeah, we would need a scale drawing that shows it. But I think as has been said, we don't want there to be a hazard here. And if we need to approve the demolition of the old one, then that would be it. That would be the qualifier.
All right, board, is there a motion?
I mean, I would make that motion that we approve the applicants, that we approve the portion of the request for a certificate that for the demolition of the existing awning, but that the applicant would come back before the board with a more precise rendering of the proposal for a new awning.
What about the colors?
Do we approve the painting, those colors, the white and the,
And the removing of the back?
Oh, yeah, taking the lean-to down from the back and painting the cinder block. I think all of that's fine. The only thing, I guess it would be then the converse, everything that he asked for except how he's going to replace the awning, and then we'd want to see that before we proceeded.
and the windows and doors? I think we
Yeah,
need to
and
see
the windows
that.
and doors, yeah.
So to recap that, I think the motion is to approve the certificate as to removing the existing awning, removing the lean-to, painting the cinder blocks, and we will hold in abeyance the question of the new awning and the windows and doors.
Painting the brick.
On Dargan Street. Yeah.
Right. And on the side, because it faces whatever that alley or whatever's beside it. Does the board approve the painting of the brick on the front or not? That was that melody color.
Scott, what do you think about that? I mean, they're actually two different bricks, it looks like to me.
No,
From that.
I'll look at that very closely. And what they've done is they've roll painted the face of the bottom courses, and because it was not really visible, it's the exact same brick. So whenever it's painted whatever color, the brick itself is not different. It's just the way it's been painted and not painted.
I see. Okay.
So in my opinion, you're not trying to match any brick.
Right.
because you've already got painted bricks. To me, it's whatever color is most appropriate.
So they painted it just and left the mortar joints, huh? Left the mortar
They just
visible,
they just rolled
Face-
just the face
just the
of the.
face. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so there's a motion before the board. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Ah,
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll issue the certificate and we'll wait for further information on the new awning and the windows and doors.
Who was the second on that?
Scott Collins. The next matter before us today is DRB case number 2020-20. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness for an LED monument sign to be located at 251 West Palmetto Street, tax map number 90087-01-004. The property is located in the D1 redevelopment overlay district. We'll take staff's report.
All right, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
All right, let me skip down to our next case. All right, so this is a request for a certificate of appropriateness for a LED monument sign, and the applicant is Circle Park. And this will be located at 251 West Palmetto Street, and it will advertise for that building and also the other Circle Park location, so the campus itself. And here it is on the map. So this will be located at 251, and the other main Circle Park building is at 238 South Coit Street. So you can see they are adjacent parcels, and they actually do connect. All right, here's the zoning map. It is in the Central Business District, and it's also in the Redevelopment Overlay District. Here is the proposed location of the sign, of the monument sign. They're looking at about 2 feet off the sidewalk, and there is an existing sign there from the former tenant, which will be removed. So here's a rendering of the sign, and that is an LED signage, and that is a brick structure around it. And you can see it's in the existing flower bed. Here's some site photos. The picture on the left is 251 West Palmetto Street, and it is part of the Circle Park campus opioid abuse treatment building. And then the middle picture shows the existing sign to be removed, and the one on the right shows flower bed, which will be the location of the monument sign. And like I said, the back of the parking lot connects to the main Circle Park building. So they'll be advertising for the campus in general, and they are both connected through a driveway. Here are some other LED signs in the D1 redevelopment district that have been approved. And as you'll notice, they all have the reader signs, the narrow LED signage. And here's just a few examples: Advantage Health and Wellness, Jimmy John's, Palmetto Wellness and Injury Center, and then of course Walgreens and CVS, both on Irby Street, across the street from one another. So the design guidelines speak to monument signs appropriate for smaller buildings that have the 5 to 15 foot setback off of the street. So it is one of the recommended signs for this style of building at this location. And the proposed LED sign will be placed about 2 feet from the back of the sidewalk in the landscape bed that we saw a little bit earlier. In the Central Business District, it really doesn't have a setback. It's a 0 foot setback from the property line, and it can be up to 80 square foot surface area. and the proposed sign clocks in at about 79 square feet, with the LED screen itself being 4 feet by 5 7/8 inches in height and about 7 feet 7 inches in width. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so and then the design guidelines speak a little bit about animated signs for as far as LED signs. They are permitted in the central business district, and they have to adhere to state code, and that basically just regulates how fast they can change and how long the screen has to be fixed before it changes again, just to keep drivers from becoming distracted. Obviously, you know, the flashing signs are not permitted, and backlit and internally lit signs have to be approved by the design review board. And as I said earlier, the other signage within the D1 district has been approved with the electronic readers, just kind of as a component of the business signage, but not the entirety of the sign. So it is a little bit different than the ones pictured. And that concludes staff's report. And I know that the applicant, Circle Park, is in attendance.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Where did, I'm looking at the various renderings, but do you have one that shows the full dimensions of the whole structure?
It, let's see, I have it written in the PowerPoint. The applicant was able to provide an email giving me the overall dimensions, but the sign rendering itself did not show the exact
The reason
dimensions.
I ask is, if you look at page 27, if the 6-foot man is 6 feet, then it's more like 9 feet tall instead of 7.5. And if he's 6 feet, it's more like 12 feet across or more than it is 9 feet across. So that's why I'm concerned about the overall scale of it.
Right, and yeah, we were getting the 79 square feet from, that was the height given, 7 foot 5 inches in height, and then the length was 9 foot 10 inches. So that's what we used for our calculation.
Can you share that screen, please?
Yes, sir. Let me get back to, stand up straight, right? Let's see, share screen.
We know we had an 80-foot limit, so
Yeah.
that's just might not be on the scale very well.
Okay, so there are the numbers used for the
Hey, guys, let me just interject. This is Bill Gilmer with Circle Park. I think that drawing is definitely not quite to scale, but we know we had the limit, as a vendor knows as well, with 80 square feet, and that was what we had come up with for the actual size, was that I'm sorry, the size is on the screen right there, 7.5 by 9.10. So I think the rendering art drawing is just not quite to scale with that guy being 6 feet. He looks like he's probably more 4 feet in that picture. But we definitely would be at the size limitations that's written on the screen you're seeing now.
And there might have been a little staff error in enlarging the picture, might have thrown off the dimensions a little bit.
And the reason that matters is, okay, so if that's the case, but the LED sign is still 4.5 by 7.5, basically, then that means it becomes a much larger percentage of the whole structure than what's shown here. So you'd have a very thin brick base and sides.
With a cabinet width and stuff right here.
We'll open it for, any further questions for staff? All right, hearing none, we'll open this matter for public participation. If the applicant would like to speak, certainly feel free to go ahead. If somebody from Circle Park would like to tell us more about the project, please go ahead now.
Yes, this is Bill Gilmer. I'm with Teresa Cox with Circle Park on the project. And the only thing I can tell you about the sign is it's probably going to be this rendering on page 7 we looked at, probably not scale. We could come back and give you another one if we need to, but we definitely stay within the limit of the 80 feet of that. And the size of the border might be just a bit smaller on the left or right. This is actually replacing an old metal sign that was there with the original building, and it go in the flower bed there. If you have any other questions, I'd be glad to entertain them. That's about all I had.
And if you need to see, I actually have a picture that I sent the vendor of myself standing in that spot, so if that helps in terms of understanding scale, because I'm 5'2", and he, when he placed on the next page where you see the sign that's overlaid on the actual spot, he used my height to try to do a drawing to scale. So that might be a better representation than the one with the, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's a little bit more accurate, I think.
yeah. So that's based on me standing in that position standing at 5'2" there. So I can show you the original. It'll take a second for me to try to get it to my
We
screen.
just showed them on there.
Yeah.
I just showed them the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the art rendering was a little bit off, but
Yeah.
that's the actual size there. And it's replacing, I think you had the PowerPoint, I'll see if I can show it to you. But it's replacing that old metal one that was right here. We're going to take the iron metal one out. This is another sign down the road, actually, a little bit further down on a different piece of property, the square part right here.
Okay.
Okay, anything else that you guys would like to add before we close the public portion of the hearing?
Tracy, no?
Not unless you guys have any questions.
All right, we'll close the public portion of the hearing at this time and open it for board discussion. I have concerns. I mean, I personally have concerns. I think this is a different kind of sign. I'm afraid it blocks the view of traffic from the driveway. I'm afraid it's going to be, I mean, I don't like the LED ribbon signs that we've had, but this is a lot more than that at one of the most visible corners in downtown. So I have reservations about it personally.
Yeah. The question when the comment was made about setback being 0, and it's not unusual in these districts that are being restored. You want your buildings to be close to the sidewalk, but to put a sign into that space, I tend to agree with Chairman Campbell. It does seem to be the existing signs appear to be hanging and elevated so a driver pulling out of a parking lot can see traffic. But this one looks like it's a pretty good screen to any kind of view of oncoming traffic.
Oh, and all the other examples in here are the same thing. I mean, the Jimmy John's one in the picture is set back a half a car length. The Health and Wellness one is set back behind 3 bushes and asphalt. The Walgreens one is set back behind grass and pine straw.
Yeah.
I could just address something about the traffic. When you coming out of that building parking lot onto Irby Street, the sign would be on the right-hand side of the car, and you'd be turning right. So it would be blocking the view of traffic onto the street because your sign is on the right and you're turning right onto the street. And the setback is at 2 feet, not 0 feet. So it's,
You're pulling back, you're pulling out on Palmetto Street, though, aren't
I
you?
mean, Palmetto Street, I'm sorry, not
Oh,
Irby.
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, got that wrong. But the sign is on the right-hand side of our driveway entrance. So when you're actually pulling out, it's on your right and you got to turn right onto Palmetto Street. It's not flush with the sidewalk where you couldn't view the other direction if you decided to turn left. So if you're looking at the screen in the second picture there, where the flower bed is below the red circle, it would be back in that area, a couple feet back from the curb. And the traffic would be coming in as you exit our building, would be turning right to get onto Palmetto Street to go right. And if you went left, it wouldn't be blocking a view from the left because the sign's actually not on the left side. The sign would be on the right
It's only
side.
a one-sided sign.
Does that make, do you follow me on that?
Yeah, I'll follow you on that.
Okay. And that big, on the third picture on the far right, that real big sign is blank up in the air. It's not our property. I don't know who that belongs to. It's an empty sign. It's just nothing on it. It's up in the air, the elevated one. We plan on having some, messaging is going to be basically related to Circle Park services, for the behavioral health and for the opioid addiction program, and some of those things is what the content's going to be on the sign mostly.
I would just like to agree with our chairman. I have concerns about the sign. There's a lot of brickwork.
Yeah, in fact, I think we were adhering to some policy that said the brickwork needed to match existing facade of the building, and something I read in one of the requirements. So that's why we went with the brick masonry siding on it. I don't have that in front of me now, but I think something to do with the district we were in said it needed to match the building.
But does it have to be so big?
Right. I think just to clarify, my concern about it is not that a monument sign there, as long as it's not blocking traffic. I'm certainly in favor of a monument sign there at the reduced scope that, was described a few moments ago. I'm more concerned about the size of the LED screen. That is different than anything we have that I know of. And I struggle with even the band LED signs. This one, it says it can hold up to 8 text lines, so that's a pretty big size screen.
Mm-hmm.
Not flashing, but, putting off light and graphics. That's what my concern is that that's opening the door to a whole new type of advertising.
How big is the sign, the monument sign at the old library? I think it's
about the size of the,
of course, it's not a LED sign.
right. It's basically the size of the Walgreens one if you put a little roof structure on it and a brick base on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a picture of the building?
Picture of the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
Let's see, I have it, I think it's in that PowerPoint as well. I might have it in, here's a picture of it I think you've got the PowerPoint. So the actual sign would be on that side.
Yeah, it's the Dawson's old medical office.
Right.
Okay.
So the picture on the far left is the front
Not
of
been,
251 West Palmetto Street.
Right.
Yeah. Has there been a request to put in a sign at the First Baptist Church at the corner of Irby and Palmetto yet? Have you guys had that sent to the committee? I'm just wondering if you had, because I heard there was something going there and wonder what the size might be on that display of LED.
We hadn't had anything come before us.
Okay. It's
I
still
don't know
be,
if staff's seen anything.
all right.
I mean, we had the First Citizen sign back 5 years ago or whenever that was at that corner. And I
The
guess
South
Bank
Bank, yeah. And the South Bank, I guess, is one right up the street from us that has it as well.
Right.
So,
They don't have LED, do they?
yeah, South Bank does. Doesn't it LED at South Bank?
South State.
South State Bank, one up the street from
I'll
us.
have to check. I'll see if I can pull it up there.
If I recall, that was part of the trade-off for allowing them and First Citizens to have taller signs, was that it would be plain.
So, Mr. Chairman, you would advocate for basically a scaled down version of this monument sign, that would pull it back a little bit more than 2 feet. This is me kind of thinking out loud too. Pull it back a little bit more, maybe another foot away from the curb, and make the LED panel smaller. It's basically 5 by 8. It's bigger than a sheet of plywood, basically. It's just pretty big surface.
Yeah, that's we can definitely do a scaled down version of that. Do you have any preference of size you're thinking of? I mean, want to come back with something people are comfortable with. I mean, we got to be able to put our message out as well. I see you 5 by 7.5 by 4.5 is causing some problems. Are you thinking about a third of that knocked off, or an eighth of it knocked off, or what are you guys thinking for as the size of the screen?
Can we see some of the other signs that were shown as case studies?
Yes, sir.
I think the difference to me is that the LED message portion is subservient to the sign itself, as opposed to being the sign.
Right.
And I think to me that might be a compromise. The sign itself could be a little bit, the fixed portion of the sign may be, and then one size, and then the LED message portion could be secondary. Is that kind of speaking to the group?
We look at the one slide just before that again, Derek, that you had the other examples. I think you had 2 pages.
Oh, the Walgreens and CVS.
Like
Yes,
the
sir.
Walgreens side is about a size we could, like something like that. I mean, it's a little bit more, not as high as 5 feet. That looks only like 3.5 feet or something. But I see what you're saying. I mean, then we really don't want to just get a ribbon sign that just says, one little message. So something that's already been approved in the Walgreens or CVS style is kind of more what we're shooting for, I think.
I mean, I'm just speaking for myself personally. I'm not trying to convince anybody else, but I don't like any of these with the electronic signs in this immediate downtown neighborhood. I mean, when you stretch down to where the Walgreens and the CVS are, that's a little bit different of a neighborhood in my view. I mean, the Jimmy John sign and the Palmetto Wellness sign, as far as I'm aware, those have been there at least 10 years, if not longer than that. I don't know, I don't remember the Advantage Health and Wellness one. I just really don't know. I don't remember that coming before the board while I've been here. Maybe it did. But that's just my personal preference, to be honest with you, I think. But the rest of the board can make a motion on this or ask to defer it till next month or whatever y'all would like to do.
Can I say something before the motion is made?
Got one more comment, if we could, from Teresa.
So if Court Street is in the same district, there is a precedent for it with the credit union on Court Street, which has a similar size and type of signs that we're advocating for. So I think that there is a precedent for it, within this D1 district.
What's the name of that bank again? Do you remember?
Hold on.
Palmetto State?
It's the Federal Credit Union.
It's PD Federal Credit Union on Boyd Street, about a block
Right.
in the same district.
I'm trying to pull it up.
We have a picture of it. I think we might have a picture of it.
It's at the corner of Pine and Coit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same district, right? That our company's in.
If I'm reading the map correctly, it looks like a D1 district. And so for that district, it looks like that.
Thought I had a picture of it. I'm just scrolling through my photos to see if I could pull it up to show you. But
You did, I just have to find it.
the problem is with your iPhone photos, there's a gazillion of them in there to find one at the last minute.
Mr. Chairman, while they're searching for that picture, it's only been briefly brought up, but my question is, I understand that taking a left's not going to be an issue, but taking a right, is that not still create a blind spot? Let's say an emergency vehicle is having to cross over the double lines
Yeah, that was my thought too, David.
and coming, you're not going to see that.
I don't know if that show up or not, but this is the sign that she was referring to. This is the sign she was referring to. That's the one just about a block and a half away. Can you see that okay?
Can you enlarge it?
It's huge.
If you talk, it'll go, okay.
We may have to look into that one. I don't recall permitting that one. That doesn't.
Sorry about that, Palmetto Bank.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta rip that one up.
We won't tell them where we found out about it.
That's right.
If they throw that away, we'll just use that sign, maybe buy it here.
That's right.
But I can understand your concerns about the height and width of it, and we can certainly look at scaling it back. We just kind of went with, to be honest with you, the recommendation was, the requirement was 80 square feet maximum. So we went for the whole candy bar. If we can get 80 feet, we went 79 square feet.
And also, how comfortable, if y'all are not comfortable with the current placement, what would be a placement you would be comfortable in terms of setback from it? Because we can adjust that also, but we want to know what y'all would be comfortable with.
Here's, we can look at, staff can look at DOT site triangles and recommend some placement.
Okay. Yeah, again, I'm not trying to force y'all to revise this. If you want us to vote on this proposal, we can vote on the proposal. If you want to ask the board to defer it to next month to give you time to work with staff and try to come up with an alternative, you can do that too. But that's your choice. If you want us to take action on this, we can. I mean, we will.
Right. Well, if we take action and it's voted down, do we just have to start the process over again for next month with the revisions? Is that how that normally works? Or
You have to wait a year.
Yeah.
oh, we don't want to do that then,
Yeah,
for sure.
we'll revise.
If we could get some guidance for what the objections are most, I think we heard a lot of it. I want to make sure we meet what everybody's concerned about, and we'll come back for the next meeting and present that. And I think Derek mentioned we can look at some setback options with DOT, and we'll look at the scale and the size of it, and the brick the monument not to be too overwhelming for the sign smaller, and I think we'll probably end up something everybody's a little more happier with. That sounded good if we can defer and bring some options at the next meeting.
Does staff feel like they have a sense of the board's views on these various issues to help them?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe so, yes.
All right. Staff knows what I think will be helpful to you, so they can share that with you and work with you on that.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll get with you, Derek, and we'll proceed from that point, I guess, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Thank you.
So is that an official request to defer it to next month?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
please.
Okay. Board, it's been asked to defer. All in favor, say aye.
Ah,
Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. The next matter for us today, and don't feel like you have to stay. You can hang out, you can stay if you like, or you can drop off.
Thank y'all.
The next case is DRB case number 2020-21. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish a section of a house located at 407 West Pine Street, tax map number 90074-11-011. The property is located in the D4 Timrod Park Overlay District. We'll take staff's report.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's catch up on our PowerPoint a little bit here. All right, so the applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness, and this has changed a little bit over the past day. The applicant is now seeking to do the demolition on the back, but also they were wanting to replace the current siding on the house with hardy plank siding, except the back of the home that's going to be exposed by the demolition. They want to, at this time, temporarily put up wooden OSB board in the back until they decide on a window door configuration. So hardy plank on the entire house, the demolition, and then the rear exposed portion of the house, OSB boards temporarily.
Excuse my ignorance, what is OSB board?
Oh, just like oriented strand board, just what would be an underlay, what would be considered an underlay on a house.
Looks like chipboard.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Looks unfinished. Let's see, so here's the vicinity map of 407 West Pine Street. This is where the house is located. It is in the Timrod Park Overlay District. And here it is in the Neighborhood Conservation 6.2 district as well. Here's the property tax card. The owner, Mr. Damon Burgess, I saw him on a little bit earlier, so the applicant is here. It's about 1,300 square foot house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and it looks like this addition has been placed on at a later date. And this addition is what they want to demolish. So that'll take the house back to its original footprint. So here's the demolition plan. So they're going to remove that back portion of the house down to the foundation, just remove everything, and then it will expose the back of the house where they want to put up the OSB board. So here's some site photos. This is the front of the house from Pine Street. And here we are at the left side of the house. You can see the green portion is the obvious addition to the home that will be demolished. And it looks like it's has suffered some fire damage in the past. So the design guidelines talk about the historic character should be retained and preserved. The 16-foot by 26-foot addition will be removed, taking it back to its original footprint. Upon demolition, they want to take off the wooden lap siding that you can see on there presently and replace it with hardy plank siding. And as I said, on the rear of the house, in the interim, until they decide on a window door configuration, they would like to put the OSB board. And as far as the color for the hardy plank siding, they are open to suggestions. And then, as I said, yeah, the lap siding will be removed and hardy plank put in, except for on the rear of the house. And then the design of the roof line will go back to its original original look as it was when it was constructed. And then the only other thing is, as I said earlier, they're not sure about a window and door design on the back. And they have requested the OSB on the rear of the house. And that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? My only question is OSB board like that put up for maybe a while safe and watertight and all that, or is it?
I think typically you would put like a Tyvek over it to waterproof it. I think after a while it would get exposed and probably pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think it does have limited exterior durability, but it's definitely not a permanent covering. I would assume once they figure out the window door configuration, they would go ahead and finish the hardy plank out.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, we'll open the matter for public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this project?
I saw Mr. Burgess earlier. I'm not sure if he's still on the Zoom call.
Okay. Mr. Burgess, if you're there and you'd like to speak, please speak up. All right. Hearing no one, we will close the public.
Hello.
Oh,
there we
yes,
go.
okay.
Hello.
We're in Zoom, so I'm trying to operate it.
Sure.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm here. I'm back. Yeah, so, I mean, we had the property for a while. We've been going back and forth trying to come up with the configurations to renovate it. So the OSB would just be temporarily till we can decide how we're going to do the windows and the doors and bring it back to y'all, and then try to move forward and complete this project.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Burgess?
I don't think at this time.
All right. Thank you very much. If no one else from the public would like to say anything, we'll close the public hearing portion and open it for board discussion. Any board members have any questions or comments?
Well, I'll make a few. I'm delighted that they want to tear the back of it off. My only concern is how long it will be before OSB can be replaced.
I plan to have the OSB replaced maybe to the next hearing, and we're hoping to get started as soon as possible. So I couldn't see the OSB being up there no more than 2 months max.
Okay.
Is that a promise?
That's a promise.
And hardy plank is an approved siding in that district, correct? Yes, okay. Staff answered in the affirmative to that. On the color question, I mean, can we provide them with the historical color palette of accepted colors?
We'd be glad to do that. And
Okay.
as I often tell applicants, that if it's a boring, ordinary color, there's good likelihood we can approve it. And if they want any excitement in their life, then they'll have to go back before the board. So.
Okay. And typically, I think we encourage the trim to be white and the walls to be a darker color. I mean, color.
They could, and they could. I mean, they could look at the character of the area and see how some of the historic homes are painted, and I'm sure we could provide that.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion? Anyone?
Well, I'll make the motion that we
Okay.
approve what they have asked for.
Okay. So the motion is to approve the hardy plank replacement of the wood siding, to allow the demolition of the addition on the back, to allow the temporary use of OSB board on the back, and to have staff be able to provide color examples and approve the final color choice within that palette. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that. Since I tried to make the motion with my microphone muted, I'll second the motion.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll issue the certificate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's the last order of business for us today. Anything else you guys need us to?
I think we're good. I appreciate everybody continuing in our virtual world here again this month, and we'll play it by ear for next month.
Okay. And I believe I heard at the beginning, Mr. Coleus say that this might be his last meeting with us. We may try to talk you into sticking around if we can, but if not, we certainly appreciate your service and have enjoyed working with you these last number of years.
Did you say Mr. Collins?
Tom,
Tom.
Oh, okay.
he's on mute, I believe, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Is he still here?
Well, thanks, everybody. We'll
Adjourn
sign
the
off.
meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.